listening to Perfectly Normal. This is a podcast where I bring you love, courage, and connection. I'm your host, Michelle Quay. I'm a confidence and leadership coach where I work with negative self-talkers to get them to believe in the talent that they have and to their full potential in both personal and professional life. I'm the founder of Elevate Life Coaching. It's a coaching and seminar company. Welcome to the show. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining the show this week. Last night, I watched an old movie. So this is something that I've been committed to do because I feel that in order for me to take my speaking career to the next level, I need to watch more people who are speakers and they speak. And I also need to expand my knowledge in terms of, what's going on out there. I need to watch more news. I need to watch more movie. I need to have more exposure to the areas of everyone's life so that I know what to talk about. And that's one of the things about speakers. You don't you have to learn and practice and also expand your knowledge so that you keep bringing new ideas and new topics and new language to your audience to make it interesting. So I am committed to do that, and I've been doing this for the last 2 weeks. So every day I commit myself to watching a video and on topics that I am interested in. So if you have any recommendation that you think is interesting, funny, or that's worth watching, I want to invite you to my group, the Confidence Lab for Remarkably Courageous People. In that group, you can share your thoughts, your recommendation, and especially now, I actually need your support. I need your support. Listen, I need you to go and join the group because I need your support. So share what you like, what kind of movie do you watch. This way I have more things to talk about. So last night I was watching The Truman Show. So for those of you who had watched the movie, it's an old movie starring Jim Carrey, and he is the main character. So basically he is living in this world that is based on that's being broadcast as a reality TV show. And what's interesting to me about the whole story plot is that it's a true representation of the world that we live in. And one of the very powerful quote that I was able to draw away from that was, so the Christoph, he is the guy who's, being showcased as someone who's in the outer space, and he has this amazing studio, and he has a lot of people working for him, and that's where he's broadcasting the reality show. Christoph, he had said this quote, and he said, "We accept the reality of the world in which we are presented." Here, let me repeat that for you. We accept the reality of the world in which we are presented. So if you think about it, I remember I click on pause on last night on that segment, and I was like, oh my God, isn't it true? We accept the reality of how we want to see it. And that's how it was presented to us. And never in our life do we stop, or very rarely. But if you're listening to my podcast, I believe that you are this conscious individual, that you already woke up to some aspect based on some aspects of your life, that you realize that there's something bigger and greater. And otherwise, you probably wouldn't be able to resonate with what I'm saying here in this podcast. So the fact that you are subscribing to this and you're listening to this, that's telling me that you do not accept the reality as it is, and that you believe that we can actually create our own reality. Well, so when I was watching the movie, when I hear that quote, I pause and I start thinking. And it's not good when I'm start thinking, because then I would think more, and that means, There's more idea coming to me. Sometimes thinking will lead me into trouble. My colleague would say, Michelle, don't think, just do. Which is very difficult because I like to think. And when I think, there's all these kind of ideas that just come into my head. So I started to think, because if we look at our life, our life has a certain degree of formula that we all apply. You go to preschool, you go to kindergarten, you go to elementary school, you finish your middle school, high school, college, and then you get a job, you get married, you have kids, you make money for yourself, you make money for those who you love, and you're climbing to the ladder and you're coming down from the ladder, you're getting old, maybe perhaps you're getting sick, and then finally, all of us will reach to that point of life where our life ends. And now, if you're lucky, somewhere along that line, you might become very successful. You might open your own company. You might get promoted to your dream job. You might marry to your soulmate, or you might start your own loving family. But for most of us, life doesn't happen that way. And there come to a point in our life where you realize it's not working. Like whatever it is, whatever the formula was designed for us, it's not working. And it was in that moment where you realize it's not working for us. It's not working out. You start to question your ability. You start to question your talent. You start to question your own beliefs that, hey, is this thing real? Is this life real? Like, is there another possibility for me to live my life? There's a lot of, thoughts process that's going on. And this is where, our negative self-talk kick in, because we're talking to ourselves, because we're trying to make sense out of something that doesn't make sense anymore. And so I kind of imagine that, the formula that we are applying to is a circle, right? So life is a circle and it's traveling, coming down the path. And so when we have that realization of, you know what, something is not working out for me and I don't really qualify, I don't really fit into that category, where do I belong? And that's where the self-realization step in, and we become really conscious about what is it that we believe in. And we start questioning our faith. We start questioning our religion. We start questioning whether or not there's actually a purpose or meaning to this whole entire thing. Like, what is the meaning behind all of this? What's the point of all this? And that self-realization becomes a point of reference. You have two choices. And you can actually go back and believe in the idea that this is the reality. This is, the how we should all be moving along in our path, getting a job, getting married, having kids, and having a good life. Or you may be standing at the point where you realize you're different and that you are not normal. And for me, it came because I felt I was disconnected from what the reality is and what my reality meant for me. And I think it was not clear to me until I had to make that trip to Peru. I had to take that trip by myself, going up to Machu Picchu, taking all the steps and realizing that, for the longest time, I was trapped by my physical disability. I was trapped. And I was just, the fact that the reality is that I am different, I was not accepting that. I was not accepting the fact that I am different. And by not accepting that, it causes me to have a lot of resistance and having a lot of fight. I have to fight in order to get in. I have to fight in order to be part of something. And that was not something that was energetically good for me. I always felt drained. I felt burned out from my work, and which led to being angry all the time, and I was constantly struggling and just to make sense of what my life is about. So my realization came, it was turned on. I was open to it because in that during that 4-day trail, during that 4-day tracking, it was a lot of physical activity. My body was just at performing at the top, and I was really exhausted. And when you're physically exhausted, but your mind is still racing, and every time that I get up and I got onto the trail, what I was thinking about is how do I land my crutches so that it's in the right position, right place? And that's all I was thinking about the whole entire 4-day trip. How do I walk? How do I go through the path without slipping and fall? How do I land my crutches on the next step so that it's in a safe place? That was the whole entire thought process I had. And by the time I get back to the camp at night, I was just exhausted. My mind was still racing, but I was exhausted. I pretty much just shut down and I said, you know what? That's it. I'm calling it a night. I'm not going to think about anything because tomorrow is another long day for me. And all I care about is just getting to the Machu Picchu, and so be it. And so on that path, I probably did a lot of meditation because if you think about how to quiet our mind, it's about focusing on something, right? And something to me during that 4-day trail was focusing on how do I land safely without slipping, without fall, without hurting myself. So every step that I took for that 26 miles of trip was just doing that, just focusing on how to get back home safely. That's all I could focus on. So, which after the trip, when I got to the top of the mountain, I was fully awake. I say awake because I think it's awakening to the consciousness of realizing and accepting the fact that I am different. And there's a reason why I am different, because I have a purpose. And that purpose can only be revealed to me in that moment at that specific destination and on top of the mountain. After I have experienced all these in my life, it was meant for me to bring that back. And it was meant for me to realize that I am different. I am not the same. I am not normal. And with that idea, coming home, I was meant to do something different. And that was my talent. That was my self revelation. I call it revelation because it's almost like an epiphany that you come home and you realize that your life has a purpose and you were meant to do something. And the fact that this is what you were meant to do, it was all based on your past experience and that life had offered you. So I came home, I was really inspired. And I think, going back to that Truman Show that I watched last night, it was so real to me. It was, we are Truman. We're living in a world that we perceive as the reality. But, if you think about it, there's actually another reality, a version of you living somewhere and waiting for you to wake up to. So what is your reality? Like, what do you need to wake up to today? And yesterday, I remember at the end of the movie, which I won't tell you in case you want to go back and watch it again, or, if you never watched it, I would highly recommend and encourage you to watch it because it's so powerful. It was giving me a lot of ideas and how things just make sense. It was a great movie. It was really great movie. So at the end of the movie, it was Truman standing on the ladder, and there was this door that would give him the option of either to close it so that he can stay in his current reality, or he can open the door and take an exit and be in the life different than what he is familiar with. So it's a choice. Now, I'm going to leave it to you so that you can go back and watch the movie again if you forgot, or, if you want to come tell me that you already watched the movie and that you felt really, I want to hear from your thoughts. What did you think about the ending? What did it mean for you? I think watching movies like that, it's really great because it allows you to do a lot of self-reflection and what does that mean for me? And so I wanted to leave the ending for you to discover. So that was something that I did last night. It was watching The Truman Show. And the whole reason why I started to do this is because I promised myself that I am going to commit to watching a movie, watching a TED Talk, so that I can have more material to talk about for my audience, because I think there's stories that's happening all around us every single day. And if we look at, we're talking about how to live a normal life. This is normal to us. And out of these normal experiences, there's always something very extraordinary that you can learn from, that we can all grow and learn from. So I wanted to be able to share all these with you and just, really allowing myself to grow as well. So that's something I committed to do for the last 2 weeks, and I thought I'd come on here and share with you. And again, if you want to continue this conversation, go and join my group. I would love to hear from you. And I will see you next week. Have a great week. Hey, thanks for listening. In order for this conversation to continue, I would like to invite you to join my private Facebook group, The Confidence Lab for Remarkably Courageous People. This is where we can continue this conversation to bring more love, courage, and connection in helping each other and supporting each other in moving forward in our lives. If you found value in this show, I would appreciate if you can give me a rating on iTunes or Spotify, or simply share this show with a friend who may benefit from hearing it. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. If you'd like to learn more about what I do as a coach, please visit my website at elevatelifecoaching.org or shoot me an email. See you on the next show.